Hello, Vietnam.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Hello.
If you can hear me, please raise your right hand.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So now please upload your presentation file if anyone just for check your slide. One presentation file please upload from Vietnam.
Chiến chỉ cứ lộ chữ OK rồi nhỉ?
Okay, all the station is now standby. Hello, everyone. Now I am opening the healthcare session 2. My name is YoungSung Lee from Chungbuk National University, South Korea. From the early stage of a medical working group, this session has introduced the combination of information technology and medical learning technology. Recently, the brilliant advancement of information technology has led to the radical change in the environment of medical education. Today, the speakers of the session will report the application of information technology to their research and treatment education in diverse environments to share their experience and the know-hows with other scientists. Today, actually, 5 speakers from here, 2 speakers, and the other 3 from the remote area from Seoul National University and California, Stanford, and from the Vietnam. And I will introduce the first speaker from this venue. The first speaker would Young Moon. He is an orthopedic surgeon, and he's actually professor, and also he has many specialties on editorial committee of a Korean Orthopedic Association and Korean Shoulder and Elbow Society, and also editorial committee of a Korean Orthopedic Sonographic Society. And he actually a lot of activities on the international some standardization on this field, international advice of a GOTS journal, and the review of a journal of American Orthopedic Society for the Sports Medicine, and also review of orthopedics 3D-based medical application working group, and the chair of IEEE Standard Associations. He is going to speak the new applications and the utilities of a medical 3D or 4D. Dr. Young Moon, please go ahead.
Thank you from Korea. I am Moon from Gwangju, Korea, and I'm orthopedic surgeon, as the Mr. Chairman told you. Yes, this first slide is showing the 3D printing material from the heart. Yeah, this is nowadays 3D printing material is more the interest is the raise up. Sorry for the technical mistake. Yes, this is 3D printing material from the Belgium Lebeng, the company name of the materialized company. And my topic is new application and utility of 3D and 4D. What is medical 4D, not medial 4D? It contains touch sense or interaction, and additionally, time interval change, the information is contained. We call it medical 4D. I will tell you from the current situation and the future dream. Yes, I am catch this picture from the materialized company presentation. They are so much interested in statistical model from the China. Why they are interested in this kind of standard data of the Asian population? Because Asian population is so many compared with other continent. Additionally, this kind of the standard data from the anatomic the model would be next. They can the new modeling for the next implant or next next medical device development. Yes, that's it. Here is the example. This is data from the Korean shoulder, Korean the humerus bone, and we can apply the United States version of the implant. Then we can the watch which is the well matched together with the imported one. So then they can make they can decide most popular implant in the human body in the Asian population or others. Yes, this is another 3D printing the material. Let me say differences. This point is very hard one, just uniform printing with hard material. Right side one is contain both the dividing each ventricle and atrium, and this one is contain the artery, and this the pinkish one contain very soft one. So 3D printing is not localized in focalized only for hard material. You should obtain the data from the texturing, the tactile sense also. We can obtain the data from this kind of sections, and then finally we can obtain this 3D material from the bone to soft tissues. Yes, I usually prefer utilize the software name of the materialize. And I'm also working with 3D standard medical 3D standard group. She is the IEEE Standard Association chair lady. We doctors always want this amount of high qualified textile and high qualified material from the 3D printing or 3D the model. Additionally, we want real motion with the real bone data. So that's we call it the kinematics. And we also want which is the change after the motion of the spine or other joint. And another important part of interesting point would be the osteoporosis. After people is aging process, the bone is more fragile than the younger stage. So our interesting part is 4D. It's a time interval change following their aging process. And yes, this is the real texturing material for the surgical procedure. And when we invent a new device, we can apply the point of something problematic area. Then we can showing which is the change after this device is applied. And yes, it's another explanation for the 3D standard material. If we obtain 3D standard model for the country or each continent, we can make something the Asian specific model or European specific model or each races the model following the characteristic size and the bone quality. Yes, I am working for the medical 3D standardization work with the United States, New Jersey. And the major part is 3D standardization and the 4D changes. Yes, recently we are very interested in the cardiac part as a vascular problem and the pathway problem and any others. So we had a meeting at the SK Telecom this year. Recently, we had a meeting at May this year. We have a six medical standardization meeting with the Italian group. So here is the three university in Rome and the other 3D. They are almost all. They are very interested in the cardiac project. Yes. So it's a very low version of my heart. So if we can open this heart, then we can see the lung, then we can see the heart. Additionally, as you know, the MRI contain only something rough data. So we made a new the standard model, then it is following the MRI data. So there are lots of ways to obtain something more fine, the 3D data from the lots of way. Yeah. Another important point is lung the change. I mean, our lung is very different in between the inhale or exhale the breath. Then it is so it's a very dynamic structure than others. So also the focal area of problem is also mobile. So we need to detect where is the point following their movement. Yes, this is the difference between inhale or exhale our breath. And another important point is we can simulate the our lung the airway by some simulators. Yes, this is the colonoscope, the digestive system, and the colon pathway. And our human skin texture is also available from skin to bone. Yes, usually when we obtain from the something 3D the rendering process, then just obtaining the material would be like this, just white and black. So or the grayish material. Then we can add this kind of something new texture. When I do the surgery, I take a picture from the patient, and even I am going. Yes, yes, but okay, okay. So additionally, we can see the inside of the joint and it's inside of the joint and the outer side of the joint before we are doing surgery. So we can simulate the following the real data. This is another interesting data is when we develop the new implant, then we can simulate where is the most the compressive point during the motion. In this group, the Japan and the Italy is joining as an international group, and the Samsung and LG is also joined these 3D medical groups. Yes, this is a major. Yes, this is major scheme of the project. Obtain the 3D sectional data from the CT and MRI and make a 3D image and rendering. Then we can watch from the 3D viewer and diagnosis from the 3D modeled material. And we can do the 3D simulator with the interface or other device. And you can enjoy the virtual reality. And finally, in these days, another important point is big data. So we can estimate and evaluate patient data from the computer. Then doctor have enough time to evaluate. We do it only in the region of interest. We call it ROI. So I'd like to now I am working in the IEEE Standard Association. Also, working with government and companies, and the Tire University in Rome and Osaka University in Japan, and Technopark in my city. And additionally, I need work together with IT, BT, and IT NT convergence. So for this medical 3D work is very easy to do. However, if we want perfect 3D material, 3D something future medical 3D work, maybe I need you. So if we work together, And if we collaborate together, our 3D material and 3D medical work would be perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Moon. It's very fantastic and advanced technology you showed us. So you include 3D printing technology and 3D design and also real data from the human patients. So I am wondering, how about the feeling from the other clinicians in orthopedic surgeons, as you and your groups are very enthusiastic this activity and you are very strong promoter. But I am wondering the other doctors group think this project would be promising, or what they thought about your project. Just a comment.
Yes, I yes, I don't wish they are going to be expertise for this 3D material. I I can introduce my 3D material to the medical doctor because I am medical doctor, so I know what medical doctor want. So my way would be most easiest one for the practice for the patient. That's my the own goal for with the IT and BT the specialist.
Okay, thank you. Is there any question from this venue and also remote area? If you have question, please raise your hand. Okay, so thank you, Dr. Moon, again. And I will move the next speaker. Next speaker is Superior Mishura. She is a senior project manager at TeachAid, where she helps lead the development, maintenance, and the expansion of TeachAid products. Founded at Stanford and recognized as an innovation that will change the world by MIT Technology Review, TeachAid is a non-profit social venture that creates breakthrough software to solve the persistent problems in HIV prevention. Used in more than 70 countries, TeachAid provides the most effective HIV prevention software to educators, governments, and the NGOs around the world for free. With a background in behavioral health research and expertise in innovative applications of new technologies in preventive care, she has previously worked at Hope Lab and the Institute for Brain Potential and co-authored a handbook on the neurobiological basis for forming positive health habits. She holds a BAH and MA in psychology with a concentration in neuroscience from Stanford University. She is going to talk today. The title would be Designing Culturally Appropriate Health Education. Dr. Mishra, please go ahead.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Can you create education that is easy to access, easy to spread around the world? And so it seems the advantages are that you could develop one item and use it everywhere. What I want to talk about today is the importance of customizing those materials to be appropriate for different communities in which you're doing work. So before I start, I wanted to show a video that I believe Keiko will be playing for me.
Yes, okay. So Celia, so can you stop your share?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Prevention of HIV. It begins with me. Hello, what can I do for you? Doctor, I've heard a lot about HIV, but I don't really understand what it is. Could you explain, please? Sure. It's a very serious health topic. HIV stands for
This is the story.
This is the story.
This is the story of a breakthrough.
Breakthrough in the global fight against HIV and AIDS. This is the story.
This is the story.
This is the story of a new approach. A new approach to prevention. Prevention.
That outperforms anything else in the world.
And is designed for those who need it the most.
In their own language.
In their own language. And respecting their culture taboos.
This is a story of pedagogically grounded,
Evidence-based software from Stanford University
that in a few short years
has become a movement
of more than 100 NGOs
and 30 nations.
and hundreds of volunteers
from around the globe
who have donated time, talents, and celebrity to the movement. This is the story of millions of boys and girls
Men and women who, for the first time,
know how to prevent HIV and AIDS. This is the story of Teach AIDS.
But this story has just begun.
our vision is to provide this life-changing software free.
To everyone in the world who needs it.
in the next 5 years.
but we can't do that without your help.
Without your help.
Without your help.
Because this story is also about you.
And what you do right now.
So there are more than 34 million people in the world infected with HIV, and 95% of those new infections are now in the developing world. But the problem is that the challenges of education in each of these countries can be vastly different. So when Teach AIDS began, we started our research in India, and we wanted to understand why, even though so much money had been spent on HIV education, it seemed like people still did not have a very good understanding of the disease. And so what we did is we did research and we realized that the link between these awareness campaigns and the knowledge gains was broken. So unlike, say, an anti-smoking campaign where people saw a billboard and they understood why smoking damaged their lungs, with HIV, people didn't understand why the behaviors that they were being asked to do or not do impacted their ability to get infected with the virus. So what we decided to do was to do our own study in India to see if we were seeing these same issues. And what we discovered was in a study in Delhi, in one of a major city, in a college, with students who you would expect to already know the basics of HIV transmission, these students still didn't understand the fundamentals, and they still said that they had a lot of questions. And the number one question we saw was whether or not there's a cure for HIV. Now, there is no cure for HIV, so the fact that these students didn't even have this basic knowledge suggested that there was a clear absence of knowledge retention being completed by the information they were receiving. Furthermore, the students we spoke with said that they really wanted more information. So our question was, what is being done right now and how can we change that? Many educational campaigns used to rely on billboards or commercials, and with these type of awareness campaigns, you have limited space or limited time. A commercial may only be 30 seconds long. And so what you were getting is bits of pieces of information. You get a billboard telling you that you should wear a condom and a commercial telling you you could get HIV from blood, and getting these bits and pieces of information, but that would be like learning how to drive and getting told from a billboard how to use a steering wheel and from a commercial how to use a brake, and you're getting all this different information and you can't make the connection. So we wanted to understand how can we provide a different way of learning in which students could actually understand the biology behind HIV so that they could understand what the behaviors meant if they did or didn't do them. So what we focused on was creating what is called in education research a coherent conception. So first we explained how viruses work. Then we explained specifically how the HIV virus works. We explained which fluids it's transmitted through, which fluids it's not transmitted through, what parts of the body it must be transmitted through. And through that, then we explained to the student the behaviors that may or may not impact their ability to get HIV. So when you speak to a student, you can say, can you get HIV from blood? And they'll say, yes, I know that. You can get HIV from blood. But then when you would ask them, how do you get HIV from blood? They wouldn't be able to answer. You would ask, can you get HIV from touching blood? Can you get HIV from ingesting blood? And these basic things that you would think they would take for common, that perhaps all of us take for common, they just didn't know. So by changing how we teach about HIV and going back to the basics of the biology, we realized we could really change how people understand and how they can protect themselves. Next, we wanted to understand how to make people comfortable. So now that we have the information, how do you present it in a way that is accessible, especially in a place like India where it's very inappropriate to talk about some of these topics? usually talking about HIV means talking about sex and drugs and, death and topics that people are not very comfortable with. And so we said, how can we decouple this education from sex education and really just impart the biological components? So if you look at this image, there is an spectrum. On the bottom left, what you see is stick figures, which may be very comfortable, but bottom right, which may be very comfortable, but you don't understand what they're doing. And then in the upper left corner, you have the type of images that we would see in our medical textbooks. But these images make people very uncomfortable. So we need to figure out how we can maximize both the clarity of the images while still keeping people comfortable. And so here you see in this upper left corner what was an image used from standard North American textbooks of a child delivery. And people were not comfortable with the fact that the bottom half of the body was exposed. So instead, through animation, we were able to first show a pregnant woman and then show her holding the child in her arms. And in this way, we were still able to convey the same idea of delivering a child without making people as uncomfortable with the images. And then again, going back to India, when we want to talk about certain behaviors in India, people don't talk about even things like kissing. Even in the mainstream movies, they do not typically use scenes where two people are kissing on screen. So we borrowed from Bollywood here, and instead of showing the two people kissing, the animation pans up to these two birds that are kissing instead. And people said that they were much more comfortable with this image. So by testing each image in the country, we were able to make sure that the educational materials we were designing, even though the base curriculum was identical, was still customized to meet their own needs. And so this process was not easy. It took us several years working with an interdisciplinary team of experts at Stanford University across disciplines. So we worked with doctors in the medical school, educators, public health experts, communication experts, to really figure out not only the science of what we were explaining, but how can we now make it comfortable? And the really incredible thing happened. We posted the tools we had created online so people could use them for free. And we started receiving emails from around the world from people saying, we want HIV education like this. There's nothing in our country like this. There's nothing in our language like this. People are dying in our communities and we don't know what to do. Can you help us? And so as we started hearing from people around the world, we realized that we needed to make sure that we could create this material in different languages, looking appropriate for the different cultures. So my slides appear to have not be functioning, but essentially what we started to do was to look further into each community to figure out how we could really ensure that we were creating the materials. So in India, we started working with the local celebrities, the Bollywood stars. And it might seem like we picked this because celebrities are glamorous. But actually, as we did more research, we learned that for sensitive topics like HIV, people feel more comfortable when they learn about this material from someone they trust, like a respected figure in their community. And so we wanted to ensure that we were able to meet people like this. Additionally, as we were doing research, we discovered that the gender matters. So people prefer to learn about sensitive material from someone of their own gender. So we started creating two versions. In the male version, you have a male doctor talking to a male student explaining this information. And then in a female version that is almost identical, you have a female doctor explaining to a female student. That way, when you're working with certain populations in your classroom or in NGOs, you're able to use the version that is better suited for your audience.
Miss Michelle, we cannot
Yes.
see your slide. So would you share again your slide? We cannot see your slide.
1 second.
Okay.
It seems to have frozen. Let me see if.
Is there anyone? Just a second. Okay. So you can control.
Can you see them
Okay.
now?
Yeah, stories around the world. Okay, thank you. Please go ahead.
So as I was describing for India, we started to use the celebrities. And so what we decided to do, India is such a large country. that each state is like its own country. So we decided to focus on Andhra Pradesh, which is a state in the south of India that has about 84 million people and which has the highest levels of stigma in all of India. And we said in this state, where just a few years ago HIV positive students were expelled from their schools, how can we make these materials accessible? In this state where people do not use the HIV educational materials provided by their own national government, how do we create educational materials that they're comfortable with? And so here we use these local celebrities and we partnered with the local AIDS organization and we developed the version in their local language of Telugu. And then we printed 25,000 copies of the animation, which were distributed into their schools and NGOs and counseling centers. And in fact, the materials became so popular that they were shown on television several times, especially around World AIDS Day. So now every World AIDS Day, some of the TV stations have elected to use our materials to promote awareness. I also wanted to share a story from Botswana because Africa in general, but Botswana in particular, is the opposite problem of India. So in India, it's very difficult. There's stigma, there's taboo. People are not comfortable talking about HIV. In Botswana, almost 1 in 4 people are infected with HIV, 23%. It is one of the highest percentages in the world. And so here, they have too much information. They're tired of all of the information about HIV, and they've stopped listening. So we were approached by the former president of Botswana, Festus Mogai, and he said, we need something new and engaging for our community. What we have isn't working. Can you create these materials in our local language of Setswana and also an English version because we have many people who speak English? And they said, we don't have big movie stars here. Our celebrities are the music artists, and everyone knows these musicians. So we partnered with them and we met with the local musicians who said, yes, we would love to donate our voices to this cause. We would love to contribute to your animation because HIV is a huge problem in our country and we don't feel like anything is working, even though we've been trying so hard. So in Botswana, we then worked with them to also customize the animation. As you can see here, we ensured that the characters were designed to look like the local people. And you can see how we had to go through many different designs before they picked the one. In fact, an interesting story, something that seems so simple, is that the student character was originally wearing this uniform color that you see in the image. But when we showed them to the students in Botswana, they said, there are no school uniforms in our country that are that color. That doesn't look like it's from our country at all. So ultimately, we actually changed the uniform color to a yellow color that was popular in several of the schools in the country. And while this might seem like a very small thing to do, when the students watched the animations, they told us that they really liked them because it felt like it represented them and that, that information was relevant to them. Because when you think the characters look like someone else, you also think that the problem is someone else's and you don't think that the problem applies to you. So as we've gone into each country, we found different problems and we've discovered that no two countries are alike. But now that we've developed this interactive HIV education curriculum that we can use in every place, all we need to do now is work and translate it into the local languages and then just customize some of the visual components, such as what the characters look like and what some of the backgrounds look like, so that it can be comfortable for those students. So we're now working and we've identified the top 50 countries that would benefit most based on their HIV infection rates, the number of people who are infected, whether or not HIV is a stigma or taboo in that country, whether or not there's a lot of other reasons why it might be a hot zone for HIV to increase. And we're now going to make 80 to 90 new language versions so that we can get these 50 countries, and that will be 90% of the world's HIV infected population. So we are hopeful that by taking the time to meet with and speak with people in each community, we can really make a lasting impact in their education. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about Teach AIDS and our process or anything else you would like to know. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your excellent presentation. And also, I really appreciate your or your group grassroots experience on AIDS with a vast area of countries, even though 70, not institutions, 70 countries, unbelievable. So I am wondering at this time, how do you raise your fund, your budget to support all the countries, even you have given the material for free? So all the fund from the donated or from the government support all the fund? I'm very wondering about that.
That's an excellent question. So the 70 countries, many of them are using our English version, so they're not all countries for which we have created a custom version. But for each country or language for which we create a custom version, we actually work with, we get some donations, of course, but we work with corporations who are interested in doing corporate social responsibility in their own community. So often these corporations have already allocated a budget for what is now, very commonly called CSR. And so if they sponsor a version, then they can get their logo included at the beginning of the animation. And then, every time someone watches it, they see the logo without changing the content in any way.
Okay, so is there any question from this venue and the remote area? Okay, thank you again for your presence, even though huge time difference from here to your country. Thank you again.
Thank
And
you
we
very
will move next speaker. Next speaker would be Dong-Soo Lee from Seoul National University Hospital. His major is nuclear medicine and molecular imaging, and he actually current has a lot of titles, and I will just briefly introduce him. Actually, he is president of Korean Society for Nanomedicine and president of a PET Association of Korea, and also professor and the chairman of the Department of Nuclear Medicine, Seoul National University College of Medicine, interdisciplinary program for cognitive and brain science, Seoul National University, and also interdisciplinary program of radiation applied of life science. He has a lot of projects from the worldwide, the past president of Korean Society of Nuclear Medicine, and also the director of innovation cluster of advanced medical imaging. He is going to talk about efforts to expand the network conferencing for teaching resident and the student in nuclear medicine. Dr. Dong-Soo Lee, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. Do you hear me and do you see my slides?
Yes, we can hear you and see well.
Okay. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to explain our experience to apply network conferencing for the purpose of teaching medical residents and PhD students in medical sciences in our field of nuclear medicine. I have prepared 19 slides, so please don't be worried. Don't worry about the time. Okay. According to the health expenditure statistics in my country, in Korea, nuclear medicine ranked 8th, consuming $0.5 billion yearly. There are almost 200 centers all over the country. And we are producing this kind of moving projection images desired to have in common over the network. And do you see the moving images too?
Yes, we can see the movie.
Yes, okay. So during my talk, I'd like to explain for the education of the next generation of my field, either medical doctors or PhD students, how we went a long way to establish the present infra and communication status between the centers and between the subjects and between people and between the students and the professors. And this will be explained by these 4 items here. First, the adoption of Giga network, nationwide one, and then use of networking software, which we are having troubles there, and an expansion of conferencing facility within my department, and also expansion to other disciplines. And in Korea, we have 2 giga networks, and which is called coherent and Creonet, and which, as it happened, had been installed in our branch institutions. So we have had the encounter point between these 2 huge giga networks in my internal network. So when I reviewed the speed logs in the logbook, the speed log after the first use of this network hardware back in 2006 showed a delay over this encounter point. We are now using APAN network, and I'm connecting from the ClearNet. And until 2008, there was a gap or delay between those two networks, and I'm not quite sure it still remains these days. So combining the hardware network issues and software, all of the capabilities, the evidence files in my backlog, which was made 5 years ago in 2008. At that time, we used the VNC, and if you use the VNC, VNC could only give us the interrupted movie file. And so we could use only the web camera at the time, like this. Oh, it's not working. Okay, anyway. So there are issues regarding the software. So now I'd like to explain the software issues. This was also a long journey from the ancient access grid via Koala to the present codec software called V2 Conference. We are using V2 Conference here in my university, which was, in my opinion, I think, which was incidentally adopted by the Seoul National University several years ago, which became popular in use. And audio was also the key issue throughout the use of this software, and always backup plan was running. Let me remind you, in the beginning, access grid audio was not satisfactory in itself, and which was very cumbersome to use in itself. And Korean program, a Nate phone at the time, was the backup. Sometime after, we came to use the Skype instead of the Nate phone, and it was a backup. And somebody recommended to use the Conference XP program, and which was tried but dropped immediately because it is using this kind of image file, snapshot image file, so that the movie or animation could not be transferred over the network. So currently, I think it might be temporary. We are currently using software which is called V2 software. However, the screen sharing program, another program, freeware here at Daejeon, is used simultaneously. That's the current solution. And so the everyday teaching session, as well as event type international conference here, or the congress or ad hoc conference nationwide, or even international ones, have been running since then without great difficulty, but always with minor problems, as we have experienced today. So the third issue would be the facility expansion within my department, which enabled myself omnipresent in every occasion held in my department if I wish. So I could be always connected if I wish when I am in my room to attend every conference of my department, just like this. And this is my room, and my room is always on. And the last issue, the disciplinary expansion would be the next step. In this year, 2009, two major departments joined the use of our capability with minor budgetary investment at the time. That's Department of Surgery and Obstetrics and Gynecology. And facility expansion took place again, at first connecting colleges, and finally last year, the multi-tile display was installed to be used for teaching Ph.D. students for a graduate course in that room, and even we used this kind of option here, the link, just to use the tab for presenting our PowerPoint files, and even live surgery could be supplied to the students real time without any delay. And this was because the students were distributed in these 6 locations for their lab locations. And also physically they were in and around Seoul area, which is located here. And what about the costs? To achieve this progress, we ourselves and public budget were invested throughout the last decade these amounts, and network bandwidth supply was also costing had cost this amount. So this facility in my wish, in my dream, this facility is to be used to transfer this kind of big data acquired from brain imaging. Each brain image is going to give us hundreds of thousand pixels or voxels, and if I only choose 1,000 from them, the data would be like this, and it's still going on. I wish I'd take I would have taken a vantage point for my research topics listed here and I'd like to transfer the capability to my juniors and students with this kind of network capability. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Dr. Lee. Okay, thank you again for your very, very productive information and very detailed information on both information technology aspect
Professor
and...
Lee, we cannot hear you.
Oh, really? I will try again. Hello? Hello?
Okay.
Okay, you can hear me?
This is the one
Can you hear me?
that I expressed as minor problems.
Yes. Just a moment.
Okay.
Bishara, can you hear me? Bishara, can you hear me? Okay, so California is okay. Maybe Seoul University have some problem. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you again for your excellent presentation and also detailed information on this area, both information technology and on medicine. I'm wondering whether your doctors can easily use this video conference system or they have some difficulty to use this. How about?
Yeah, let me comment about that. That is a very good point. Before the adoption of this network conferencing facility, before 2005, they needed to use previously our residents or students should be familiar with using slide projector. After that, the computer facility has entered to our field of medical education, and they needed to be quite accustomed or quite good at the handling the PowerPoint software. However, after the introduction of this networking facility, the first year resident or the first year student master course should learn how to make a troubleshooting to prepare the professor's lectures or to prepare their presentation. So after 8 years, all of the students and medical residents are quite good at handling these problems. However, today I'm accompanied by my computer manager. So computer manager is everyday teaching them to cope with these kind of problems.
Yes, thank you for your comment. Is there any question from here and the remote area? Yes, yes, thank you. We are a little bit behind the schedule, so thank you again, Dr. Lee, and we will move to the next speaker. Next speaker, we have a very special speaker. Actually, she is a high school student. Sungmin Lee is a senior at Hanguk Academy of Foreign Studies. As a student interested in science field, including medical science and biology, she has participated in various conferences and programs, including Medicine 2.0, to deepen her knowledge. At her school, she is a leader of several biology clubs such as Intuit and Ascenders, and volunteering clubs such as Hospice Club and the Red Cross Youth, and is an active member of other clubs such as Biomedia and the Decavio. She is going to speak about the exchange activities among students across the world via broadband network. Seungmin Lee, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon and good evening for those in the States. Okay.
My name is Sungmin Lee, and I'm currently a senior at Hanguk Academy of Foreign Studies. I'm here to talk about CyberLab and discuss how we can exchange activities among students across the world via broadband network. But before moving on to the core of my presentation, I would like to start with something different. My country, South Korea. Korea has had numerous difficulties, numerous obstacles in becoming a nation we now know today. And there are lots of factors that have contributed to its development and its success. Efforts by workers, help from other countries. But among these crucial factors, I believe the most important one is nothing other than globalization. In the past, conquering other nations was the only way for an empire to gain supremacy, to gain hegemony in its region. But it does not apply to today's society. We don't want any warring states. What we want are communication and sharing of ideas, and that is possible because of globalization, which refers to processes that increase worldwide exchanges among nations. So when is globalization most needed? Well, the world is replete with serious problems: poverty, famine, global warming, and water shortage. We can't just let them continue to happen in these countries. I mean, everything is correlated. One problem begets another, and one problem here might arise another problem there, just like global warming. And it's only through cooperation of all nations that we can solve such issues. Now, what are some of the solutions? Scientists could do some research. Experts could have conversations. Students could maybe do idea sharing through debating and presentation. Then, through what methods? There are experts around the world, but there must be a way to connect these experts. There must be a way to help them cooperate together. How can they conduct research, debate, and share their opinions without a medium? So I say that the perfect medium here is CyberLab with the help of broadband network. CyberLab is a video call system set up on the broadband network. But first, let me introduce what it is. There are 4 types of internet access: local area networks, dial-up access, wireless broadband access, and lastly, broadband access. And that is the last one is the one that I'm talking about. When you think about it, broadband network is actually being used everywhere in our lives. It is an efficient tool in helping people search for information, contact their friends, and catch up with the latest trends. But I'm saying broadband network has far more potential than just cooperating, just contacting each other. And one system that perfectly depicts this possibility is CyberLab. And what I'm about to show you is an online environment settled on CyberLab, a video call system to promote global discussion among students in countries in Asia. Agarasia Youth, 2012. This was designed by KO Media Design's Global Education Project, UNESCO, and SOI Asia. So for the contents, I'll explain what the objectives are and how we had this meeting and what its projects and activities were. Agora Youth was aimed at having global discussion and learning interactively. Agora is a central spot in ancient Greek city-states where people gather around to discuss, and Asia is where meeting was held. As its name implies, students from Asian countries such as Myanmar, Japan, and Korea met at a certain time and discussed thoughts with each other. This way, students could learn from themselves. So for the method, we use, of course, CyberLab, a video call system, and a Polycom devices for communication. Then we had PC for research, for doing some research and video editing. And lastly, each of those sites had their facilitators who helped them communicate within the local meeting and who also motivated active participation. So this picture is taken at Magic in South Korea, where Korean students met up. Here you can see Korean students discussing with each other on the issue, and you can see that everything is set up for the video call system. And on the screen are students from Myanmar on the left side, and on the right side you can see a little box, and it shows us students from Japan. So during this 2-day conference, we discussed sustainable energy. Since the United Nations designated 2012, as a year of sustainable energy, we work to raise awareness about the importance of increasing access to energy, energy efficiency, and renewable energy. So how do we do? We had 2 days to do these activities. These are activities that we did in the conference. We first introduced ourselves, each from Myanmar, Korea, and Japan. We discussed with each other and created a movie on this topic. Then we were given feedbacks and comments on video production the next day. For introduction, you can see the student on the right side. Each student prepared either a video clip or documentation that explained who they are. Student introduced who they are, what school they went to, what their hobbies are, and then we spoke up to explain energy situation in each country. These pictures show screenshots of introduction videos. The top left is the one that I used to introduce my school, Hanguk Academy of Foreign Studies, and bottom left is me. In the middle column are students from Japan, and in the right column are students from Myanmar. These pictures show Korean students discussing with each other. And this is a screenshot of the video that I made to inform others about what we can do as students to solve energy problems. And the next day, I received feedbacks and comments on this video production. So in conclusion, CyberLab had both advantages and disadvantages as a video call system. As for its good points, it allowed effective discussion and realistic communication. People could chat from faraway places as if they were next to each other. Of course, we already have video call systems such as Skype, but these show faces only. What I'm talking about here is a system that shows everything, the whole environment, the whole room. Moreover, CyberLab allows video playback. CyberLab allows playback and presentation during the video call. Yet there are also disadvantages. One thing is that it's very slow when held in underdeveloped world, for example, Myanmar. We had problems listening to Myanmari students. We had to wait a few seconds for every sentence. Other than that, video playback was in comparatively low resolution because we weren't downloading the video, but we were just seeing the video being airplayed, and it's rather difficult to set up the whole system, and it's expensive to prepare for such a big cyber lab too. But still, CyberLab has wonderful merits and surpasses the limit of current technology. It allows people in different countries to share knowledge with each other and also enjoy more reliable discussion. Considering these points, I believe CyberLab will work perfectly at classrooms, office, and anywhere that needs communication with others. Especially for students, CyberLab will be a wonderful tool that guide them to a broader world. Currently, we use internet to contact others, send mails, do some social networking, do some research. But this is not using internet to its fullest potential. I say our future use of internet should be something like this, where you don't have to fly hundreds of miles to get to the other side to discuss one global problem, where you don't have to write emails to friends and wait days to get their replies, where you don't have to suffer from slow internet connection. I hope to see more knowledge sharing in the future. Now that such a wonderful system as CyberLab is being developed, I believe the future of easier knowledge sharing is not that far away, and wider world seems to be open for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Sung Lee, and for your very challengeable project. Actually, APAN this meeting now the first time to open to high school student and the other paramedical persons. I have a question. Would you have some plan to expand this Eurasia project in your mind, or what so far you can talk about the plan?
I'm not the administrator of this Agorasia youth meeting, but I've contacted the administrator, and he told me that he was going to open up another session in November this year, and I'm planning to participate in that conference as well.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the remote? Okay, thank you again. Dong-Soo Lee, do you have some questions?
Yes. Did you hear me?
Okay, yes, we can hear you well. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So I was interested in, did you have any, did you need any the technical support from the technicians, or have you done by yourselves? Or just connecting, or just maintaining the connection? That was the first question.
Okay. I actually had technical support from technicians at Magic in in Chungbuk National University, and I mentioned that as well. Thank you.
Second
Okay.
question is, you, in terms of contents, were you really interesting? I mean, in viewing TED, I mean the technology, entertainment, and design, all those brief presentations are very interesting in terms of the contents issues. However, you just use the issues regarding energy and sustainability, or economics and the future of the mankind. Weren't they boring?
To be honest, I was quite familiar to those topics, and they weren't boring, but uh, they were not highly interesting. But the fact that we could communicate with each other, and the fact that we could have discussions with people around the world was the point. And I believe we can have more interesting topics in the future.
So this is comment. Why don't we just proceed to include edutainment beside education itself? Edutainment, which is
Entertainment, you mean?
synthesis of education and entertainment.
Okay.
Program. Okay.
I'll consider their point. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe the last question, Ms. Mishura can answer about the entertainment on, as you already have a lot of experience from the teacher age program. Would you comment about that? Please turn on your microphone. We cannot hear you.
Muted my microphone.
Okay, thank you.
I think edutainment can be good, but you have to ensure that the entertainment components you are adding are actually enhancing the materials. Right now, there's a big movement here to create video games for education, but not all of those games are actually imparting the knowledge. So I think edutainment can be good if you test it and check that what you're adding is actually adding value.
Thanks for the comment. I'll try to have entertainment services in a way that promotes better education. Thank you.
Thank you again, all the speakers and commenters. We will move the last speaker of this session. Last speaker, Associate Professor Dr. Loydon Duong from Vietnam. He is the Deputy Head of Cardiology Department, Hanoi Medical University, and the Deputy Director of Bukama University Hospital, and the Director of Training and the Direction of Healthcare Center, Bach Mai Hospital. And also, he is Vice President of the Vietnam Society of Hypertension, Vice President of the Vietnam Society of Echocardiography. He was a resident in Hospital of Paris 6 University, visiting scholar at Stanford University. He is going to speak about the telemedicine experience and the challenge. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Okay, we can hear you and see your slide.
I am Dr. Tong. Dr. Lợi. Dr. Lợi is absent. He has meeting in MA. So I am the Dr. Tong, Professor of Radiology, Vice Director of Bạch Mai Hospital. I will present some experience about the telemedicine experience and challenge. So Bạch Mai Hospital, our hospital built in 1911. That means we have more than 100 years history. And now, Bạch Mai Hospital become a leader hospital of Vietnam and Shaker. So one of the biggest hospital in Vietnam. We have four biggest hospital, but Bạch Mai one of four biggest hospital in Vietnam. Continue. And we have now 2,000 patient bed. We have two institutes, a center, a 21 clinical department, and 6 clinical department, and 9 function department, 1 nursing secondary school, and 3 other units. Uh, we have more than 2,000 staff and more than 200 teachers from Hanoi Medical University works in my hospital. Every year we have more than 1 million outpatient and 100,000 inpatient every year. And we have high technique, made high technique. Bagma is one of the highest hospitals, so we apply many high technique in our hospital. Yes, in laboratory, in radiology, in oncology. Yeah, we have CT scan, dual shock CT scan, 256 flash for cardiology in radiology. We do have many cases of coronary artery by CTA. Every day about 40 cases. Continue. Our mission, we have 7. First, providing care and treatment at high level, medical education and training, and scientific research, providing guidance and direction of health facilities of low level, and disease and epidemics prevention and control, international cooperation and health economics management. And for SIS in Bagmai Hospital, we built it for 10 years, but it's not complete now. And for international cooperation, we have many cooperation with different countries, Japan, China, Korea, France, America, and many countries in the world. Yeah, China cooperation. And for training, yes, it's training center. We have a training center. TDC is a training center in Bagmai. Bagmai is the first hospital. We have a training center, a big training center. Training in the training center, we have many. We invite professor, doctor from all the world, and we have schools there, and here secondary medical school training, many. Continue. Nice. And for Daejeon healthcare activity, we have 8 satellite hospital and now up to now we have 18, right? 18 satellite hospital in the north of Vietnam. Magma is a leader hospital and have 18 satellite hospital in many provinces. International conference, we have international conference, and now for international conference, we have a conference with Japan, with Korea, and with Australia. Continue. Yeah, continue. We have only conference, teleconference, and we have teleconference with every week. We have one afternoon. We have a teleconference with the satellite hospital for 2 years, right? For 2 years now. Yeah, for experience and challenge. But Vietnam is still a developing country, so in hospital we have SIS, but not full SIS. So in all country we have SIS, but not perfect. In Bagma we have SIS for 10 years, but only in the outpatient we have SIS, and we have a mini pad in hospital. We have laboratory, but we cannot connect laboratory to all departments in outpatient. Only in inpatient. Only for in outpatient we can connect from laboratory to all for outpatient only. So we have difficulties in diagnosis. So we must print out the report of Israel of all laboratories and send to the inpatient doctor. So yes, right. So that's why in inpatient and outpatient there are so many patients. Baitma is a high risk level hospital, so many patients come from the province, from outside. So the patient must wait long time. So we must change. We must how to resolve the problem. So the solution is difficult. So we must have some solution for 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 that. Continue. That's the SIS. Emergency, we have teleconference for emergency only for diagnosis and for orientation. What we do in the future and up now, we build a hospital SIS hospital information system fully update for change. Nice orientation. That's right. Okay, good. uh, in some months, we'll change SIS of whole hospital. That means we'll have the whole SIS of whole hospital. So all information from hospital will provide, we send to all doctor in hospital. And we use telemedicine in training for lower level hospital. Uh, and the third, we apply e-learning to reduce the overload. Because for overload, we must training for the province, for satellite province, satellite hospital, for the doctor there. So patients stay there, not come to bite mine for overload. And the fourth, using television to home care, to hand care, home hand care. Because now we have not home hand care, because we have a family doctor, but it's just beginning. So maybe we'll use television to home hand care in future. So that's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Tong. So, are there any questions from here or remote area? We are now a little bit earlier than scheduled time. So, to the all the titles you present, please ask any questions from here or there if you have. Okay. Okay. Do you have some? Okay, please go ahead.
I can explain about our system, our hospital, because I just come for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Doctor is absent, so I replace him. Okay. Do you want to know more about our hospital?
Yeah. Please push stop sharing button on your side, Dr. Tong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Please stop showing slide on your screen.
Yes.
So we cannot see.
Slides.
Yeah, yeah.
Slides.
Yeah, still your slide is on. Please stop sharing your slide.
Previous.
No, no, just stop sharing your slide. So, okay, anyway, so if there are any questions? No. Okay, so thank you again for all the participants and speakers, especially thanks to the supporting staff due to the huge time difference. And also I would like to close this session, and also the APAN healthcare session, next session will be held in Indonesia in next year, January, maybe January. Please take care of yourselves and see you again, a very healthy condition in Indonesia next time. Thank you. Or, yeah, thank you. And just please stay there. We need some photo on your background. Please in here. Please speakers, please. Oh, the Dr. Hosenan. Dr. Hosenan, please come. We need some photos here. Sangmin, please here. And yeah, background from the remote area. We need some photograph here. Okay, please here. Stand there. Stand there. And okay, so who can photograph us? Just stay. Okay, stay, and I will stay here. I will stay here. Okay, would you start photography?
Take photograph. Take picture.
Say hello. Hello. No, no, just
Hi.
here.
이용수 교수님 안녕하십니까? 프로슬리. Good morning.
예, 안녕하세요. 안녕하세요.
Yeah, please take all of them. Okay.
누가
Say 1, 2,
말씀하시는지
3
모르겠어요.
or say cheese. Anyway.
네.
After what? From the photographer.
저 말씀하신 분이 얼굴이 안 보였는데요.
예, 괜찮습니다. 지금 저 우리 백그라운드를 찍고 지금 있으니까 예, 예.
네.
Why don't you 탁창, please come. 시미주? Where are you going? 시미주, please. 시미주, please.
Okay, this might be the first occasion of telepicturing.
Yeah, television, the first time.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Say goodbye. Wave your hands, please. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ra, and goodbye. Good night.
Bye.
Yeah.
Very spending time.
Giáo sư nhìn vậy thôi. Chán bao nhiêu như thế nào?